comm going 10.8. What's up, guys? This video, all in all, is going to be a primer to a series of videos that I want to produce here, and it involves surplus radio gear. And what you see here in front of you is quite a bit of current and vintage radios that are in the surplus market, or trickling into the surplus market, and so forth. The span of years here is late 80s, early 90s, up to the present day. I wouldn't say the present day. I would say more like up to 3-4 years ago, because they got newer stuff now that I don't have access to. So this is a reality check for all of you guys out there getting into communications and are looking through eBay and all those other vendors or whatever to see if you could score some surplus radios. For the newbie, that could be an animal that will eat you alive as far as cost, mistakes, and the series that I want to produce will sort of give you a guide to what to look out for, what pitfalls to avoid, what you should expect if you go ahead and buy some of this stuff out there, and the realities of maintaining them. And I'm going to go through each one of these pieces of gear and show you the quirks that they all have that you're going to face, because I face them every day. We still have a good chunk of this stuff out in the field with the first responders, and it's my displeasure of try to keep this stuff going when they're too cheap to buy some of the newer stuff that are out there. And so I'm going to have to sort of outfit myself with more gear or support material to maintain and keep some of this stuff running at tip-top shape. So the first video we're going to cover would be Motorola gear. And Motorola gets a video all to themselves because they have massive amount of quantities out there. They're the industry leader for now, and name recognition, you name it. It's an American household name. And this stuff up here is all Motorola stuff. All this stuff here. Here you have a Centaur, a Spectra, Max Track, Astro, Radius, and MCS 2000, XTL 2500s, MT 2000. I mean, what you see here is a representation of the sort of like the history of Motorola radio throughout the decades, from when they went into synthesized processors in their build. They're not built by, they don't use crystals anymore. And I would explain all that. Don't want to get too geeky about this stuff. I want to make this sort of in layman's terms so everybody can understand and identify what the hell I'm talking about. So that is Motorola. The second video would be everything else. So I got E.F. Johnson's here. I got Bendix King. This is a GE radio, Midland radio. A few Kenwoods here. And all this stuff, it's not like ham radios where you could change the frequency on the fly or add a frequency. All this stuff here works off of memory. You have to program the frequency onto a memory slot for you to work it, and all the other attributes that go along with that frequency, as far as codes, power levels, and the devil's in the detail, stuff like that. This box right here is where I carry all my programming cables. All these little sort of envelopes, canvas envelopes, have programming cables in them. This right here is for GE radios, programming GE radios. This is a radio PC interface box. This group of cables here are all my Kenwood and BK radio. I do all my fire stuff with this guy right here, so that's why I have it in the red bag. Mostly BK and Kenwood radios. These are my Motorola bags. Radio interface box. Here's another one that I got off of eBay some years ago that supposedly does the same thing with this, but a bit more upgraded. And here are the various radio cables for mobiles. These are called mobiles, the radios that go into vehicles. These interface cables here will interface with the particular mobile to reprogram it. This guy right here, this Centaur radio here, it's one of the first few generation of radios that were synthesized where you have to do all the programming by computer. This is the only computer that could talk to this radio here as far as programming. This is somewhat of a newer radio PC. Not really. I think it's mid 2000s around there. Yeah, year 2000. This cannot talk to this radio. It's too fast. The program that is used to work this radio here or to configure this radio is a DOS operated program. This is slow enough to run that software and to interface with this radio. This PC, which is made in the 2000, it does have a DOS emulator or some version of DOS, but it runs too fast to talk to this machine. So already you could somewhat identify the logistics problem with this. If I see this on eBay, it's going to be all roses. They're going to say, this radio is a Motorola radio, 800 megahertz. It has 32 channels, up to 32 channels. It's got this, that, and whatever features. I got all the components. It's a steal for $25. So you go ahead and buy this $25 piece of gear. Yeah, it has all the cables and everything. But then the frequencies that are programmed in there, you have to use ham frequencies, or if you're in another agency, maybe your own. But so okay, you want to do that? You need to interface with this radio. You have to get the radio interface box to configure to interface your laptop or computer with the radio. This, I believe, is like $200. I think back in the day it was $300. I got this eBay thing here for I think $40 a few years ago. Then along with this, you're going to have to get the Motorola cable that would interface with this piece of gear. So here, to work a $25 piece of gear you got off of eBay, you have to spend, let's go with the home built stuff here, $40 extra for this interface box, possibly $10 to $20 for the actual radio programming cable, and then you got to find an older piece of PC here that has the speed to talk to this particular radio, and that could be, I don't know, $20 if it works. And you're not guaranteed that any of this thing will work. Right here you have 1, 2, 3, 4 sort of things to go wrong before you even get to talk to this radio, to program it and configure it for your use. See? This rabbit hole could get really deep. And that's what I'm trying to prevent from you guys from going into that deep rabbit hole. That is the problem and challenges that I face every day with some of these older pieces of gear, because this doesn't work anymore. I have to go to another maintenance shop to borrow their unit if I have to go and service this out in the field, because you need the programming capabilities to make maintenance on this, to do the maintenance on this, because the software is where you will align the levels and the frequency error and all those other things, the power out levels and all that stuff. Tuning, pretty much. You tune this radio via the PC. Well, let's look at another piece of gear. A GEMVS radio. This is a UHF radio, and the programming for this is DOS again. And here is the PC interface box to interface this radio to the PC. And then you would need a cable that would interface with this box to the interface box. Same thing. This could be $10 on eBay, but then you have to spend $30 on this, another $20 for the cable, and then a PC slow enough to run the old DOS version to able to talk to this guy right here. Luckily, this is able to talk to two faster computers. Not this Toughbook 5200, I don't believe. I haven't tested that out yet, but it certainly will talk to this old Toshiba satellite. And this other Toshiba satellite and this older Panasonic. You see, basically you see it all in front of you here. If you have a prepper group or a family group and you go out and get all this gear hodgepodge around, you know, just getting the deals, you have to sort of consolidate to a brand to make your operation run efficiently. Now, if you look at the Army, the armed forces, and the public agencies and businesses, they don't mix and match. They all have the same sort of equipment for everyone. To cut down on this headache right here, if, for instance, I have a prepper group and we have all this equipment. This is equipment that I brought, let's say, and it runs the gamut. I have the whole gamut here. I would need 1, 2, 3, 4 laptops, possibly 5, to be able to talk to all these radios, for me to do the programming and the maintenance on it, and to align the levels and do tune-ups. That is your reality. That is reality. It's like firearms. If you own 308s, 223s, 45s, 9mm, you know, the whole, you know, spectrum of calibers and whatnot, you need specialized tools for each one of them. If you reload, you need a reloading die for all of those calibers. It's the same thing here. These are all different calibers, different manufacturers, and they all require their own sort of support element to maintain them in tip-top shape. Because on eBay or whatever, you're not really guaranteed that it'll work. I've been burned a few times, not too bad where I'm crying, but you know, enough to where I get pissed and, you know, go somewhere else. But it happens. So that older piece of equipment that turned out to be bum, I just keep as spare parts. Because, for instance, this Spectra radio here, it runs off of, it's a Motorola Spectra. It runs off of a DOS program. So, but the DOS program, it's somewhat okay to where it would run on a 2000 PC and newer. This is the latest and greatest that we have out for us, that is. It's a Panasonic CF52, I believe, but it has a DOS emulator in there to where I could actually talk to this piece of gear using this modern piece of equipment. So I don't rely on this older piece of equipment that are actually failing on me right now. Like I said, this vintage laptop here, the hard drive has got some really bad sectors and I can't boot up with it anymore. The disk drive on it is defective. So there is no way for me to kind of put in a disk there to kind of clean it up or reinstall programs or anything like that. This is dead in the water. This is dead in the water, that means this is dead in the water. I cannot talk to this piece of gear. Another thing to consider too is powering this gear up. For the mobiles, it's pretty easy to continue using them in the field or whatever, because they all are standard 12 volts DC input. Your military stuff, they got some weirdo voltages. Some of them are 7.9 or 6 point whatever and so forth. They got weirdo voltages like that. 24 volts on some systems. And I'm just going by memory here because I've been out of that game for a while. But you have to be a bit more creative to sort of power the military pieces of gear, because they're not the standard everyday consumer stuff that we deal with out here, like the car battery. A car battery will run all these mobiles here, all of them, even the older stuff. They all are made to take 12 volts DC voltage. The handhelds, different story. Typically 7.5 volts for these Motorola's at least, and some of the newer stuff too. This is a new G radio here, and the voltages on this here is 7.5 volts for this new EF Johnson here. But this radio here is not compatible to this older radio here. They got different pinouts here. Even though they're the same voltages, they are different in interfacing with the back of the radio here. So these batteries here, there will come a point where the manufacturers are going to stop producing them because they moved on. Like these PCs here, you know how fast operating systems come out into the market, and the older stuff, even though if they're working, they're obsolete. As soon as you buy something new, it's obsolete. And the radio companies, they do not make software to where they keep up with the PC technology. This will last forever, just about. But the laptops that help run these pieces of gear or maintain and program these pieces of gear, they move on where this stays in place. The newer stuff, they are able to keep up. For now, time will tell. We don't know for sure, but during my demos, we will see how that pans out. But another thing, like I was talking before about the older radios, there will come a point where these older batteries here are not going to be produced, and these things, they break like you wouldn't believe from misuse. You have to charge them. There's a certain protocol to charge these and condition them to make them last as long as you can. For example, grid down, social collapse. Okay, you got your chargers running on solar, fine and dandy, but if you don't maintain these, they would reduce down to nothing or severely impact the capability of this particular battery pack. And there is really no way feasible to sort of power this out in the field without using sort of something like this, unless you possibly gut this and use some sort of NiCad batteries, rechargeable batteries, to take the place of this sort of proprietary design. The mobiles, you know, you could have them run off of solar, some dude on a bicycle generator, or you know, something like that, as long as you get that 12 volt. I mean, all the cars out there that are millions and millions of cars have an alternator. You just have to spin that alternator some way or another. You got your 12 volts there, and you have yourself a base station working this pieces of gear. It's going to be a little bit harder to do that with this and be mobile. And that is a subject for a whole other video. I mean, you see how the rabbit hole gets deeper and deeper with this older stuff here. And that's what I'm trying to sort of make aware for you guys, to see what you're getting into before you buy. Like I said, this is a primer. You can see with my sort of rant here that it's a big deal, and I don't think I see anywhere on YouTube where this particular subject is being covered. They only show the sort of the wine and roses part of it, of getting, oh, look what I scored. I score a MT3000 for $2, and I get 5 miles with this and all that and all the specs and everything. But they don't tell you that, oh, but I needed to buy this piece of gear here to talk to it, to program it without getting in trouble. Then I had to get a programming cable, and then the batteries are pretty expensive because they're obsolete now, and they cost $45 per packet now, or power pack to power this now. See, the rabbit hole again. Motorola is some heavy duty, tough stuff, but you still need the support element here to operate this stuff the way it was when it was brand new. So there it is, the primer to what I'm about to get into here pretty soon. I don't have enough time to actually really make this quick. It's going to take a long time for me to do each video because I'm working on Sundays. I only got one day off, and that one day I'm doing Gorilla Comm family stuff, making alcohol stoves and stuff like that. But that is what's going on right now. It's going to take some time, but it will be done, and it's going to be comprehensive and hopefully a reference source material for you guys out there to kind of see what you're getting into, because I'm going to get deep into this. We're going to try to program this with whatever that is available to me right now. The majority of this stuff we're going to be able to program and do one channel at least, and you will see the pain that I have to go to make this work now. So like I said, we'll start with the Motorola stuff because that's an animal all to itself, and then we'll take care of everybody else as far as their surplus gear that are out there. And I think this is going to be really helpful for you guys to make sound, educated decisions about choosing some of this stuff. The surplus stuff, like I said, it will last forever, but you're going to have the support element to back that up. And I think that's sort of the path that I'm going to take. Some of my material now is sort of like the support element of all this, the administrative side of deploying this and managing this. Pretty much in a nutshell, without saying it, is we're going to take you through the whole comm unit of the incident command structure, because that structure there is what's going to bring order to your organization, team, group, or even your family. Gorilla Comm going